Hey, Katrina here from Scrappy Horses. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so happy you're here. Today I'm working on a card with some wonderful papers and ephemera from Deco's Dynamite Doodles. I did something a little different with this card. I took one of the images from the paper, extracted it, and made it into my focal image. But we'll talk more about that in just a minute. For now, let's take a look at the other items I used in this card. I have some seam bindings, some inks, a bottle of water, and a couple of ice cream lids. I have my black card blank and a scoreboard. I have my embossing powder and Versamark embossing ink and the pieces that I cut in Cricut. So here we are looking at this beautiful paper. And you see that little shoe that the arrow is pointing to? I thought that was so cute and I wanted to make it into the focal point. So I did. And you can see it here. The arrow is pointing to it. Now, if you'd like to know how I did this, I'm going to refer you to this video that I have up on the screen right now. I'm going to leave a tab in the upper right-hand corner. As well, I'm going to link it in the box below. All right, let's get started on this card. We're going to start just by scoring this black rectangle and making it into a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card base. And I got it a little askew, so I'm just sort of fixing that up there. Now I'm going to bring in that seam binding that we talked about, and we're going to have a little fun with this. We're going to have a little experiment right here on the video. I wondered if there would be a huge difference between dyeing seam binding with this Distress Oxide ink versus close to my heart alcohol ink. So what I did, as you can see, is I just sort of tapped the ink pad onto an ice cream lid, sprayed it with water. Now I'm going to do it with the alcohol ink. Then all I did was just sort of mopped up that water with the seam binding. So it was kind of a fun experiment here. I've done this before, but I've never really thought about what would the differences be. Well, I came in then with my heat gun and I dried it. I do caution you that if you do this, seam binding is not a real thick fabric, so be very careful with that kind of heat on it. Keep your heat gun backed away a little bit. As you can see, they both turned out quite pretty. It was interesting that the alcohol ink turned out much lighter, even though it looks much darker on the ink pad. So just an interesting experiment I thought I would share with you. All right, so next I'm going to come in and I'm going to heat emboss this offset piece. What I did is I extracted a little piece of lace from one of the papers in the Mommy Dearest collection, and it's like a piece of yellow lace, and you're going to see it here in just a minute, and I offset it, and now I have this shiny black piece to go underneath that. Just gives it a little different texture on the card. Now I'm bringing in that little piece of yellow lace that I talked about, and I'm just sort of offsetting right there. Now I'm going to stick that underneath a stamp block just to kind of hold it down. I'm going around this little piece that is a print and cut here from Cricut, and that font is actually from the Cricut library. This little arrow is from the Deco's Dynamite Doodles Cotton Candy Collection solid tags. And I did a little offset, and that's how I got all these little pieces to fit together here. This is just going to be a little embellishment that's going to sit right on the front of my card. So I'm going to stick that underneath that same block, stamp block, and just let it rest for a while. All right, here comes that shoe. And this shoe that I extracted, I then did a print and cut onto one of the tags from the Cotton Candy Collection solid tags. That's from the tag grab bag number 1, also from Deco's Dynamite Doodles. And I will leave links for all of that below. All right, I'm coming in with my crocodile, and I'm just gonna punch a little hole in there, for lack of a better term. I'm bringing in a white eyelet because I did not have any black ones. And I'm just using my Copic and I'm coloring it black. then I slipped it onto my piercing tool, stuck it into the hole, and now I'm just going to punch that. All right, now the only reason I stuck it on my piercing tool is because it just made it easier to get it into the hole on that tag. Then I just went in and just sort of finished up any of the black that may have rubbed off. And then with that white cloth, I just wanted to make sure that it was dry before I stuck my ribbon through. Taking a little flaxen twine and just tying that ribbon off. Now I'm going to stick that on the front of the card now. I'm going to assemble this. I found this paper in my stash. It's from close to my heart. I'm not even sure what color it is. It's been in my stash a long time, but it was a great match to the front of this card. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to put that behind this really pretty designer paper from Decau's Dynamite Doodles. Again, it's from Mommy Dearest. Now I'm going to come in and lay that layered lace piece in. And I'm using a little tape and a little bit of Fabric-Tac. I'm using the Fabric-Tac over the tape because I want the tape to grab, but I want a little wiggle room in case I don't get it straight. And I did sort of figure out where that was going to go before I started because I knew it wasn't going to be, you know, an easy one to figure out. So I didn't show that in the video, but I did do that. I figured out where it was going to go before I just stuck it on there. Now I'm going to come in with this layered piece and stick that right on top. Those shoes are so cute. I just love those shoes. This is such great paper. Next, again, I'm coming in with a little ATG and Fabric-Tac. Looks like my bottle's getting a little low. That's okay. I have a whole crate of it, I think. I have several bottles, so it's okay. We're not going to worry about that too much. And now we're going to add, that's probably more information than you wanted, right? Okay, so now we're going to add the little style arrow to the front there. All right, this was such a fun card, and now it's time to bring in those gems. And you know that if we're bringing in gems and it's one of my videos, we must be at the end of the video. And yes, we are. Hey, thanks for spending time with me today. This was a really fun card. If you would like to know how I got that shoe on there, then check out that other video and I'll leave everything linked below for you. Have a wonderful week and I will catch up with you in the next video. Bye.